Fratelloni's Ace Hardware and Garden Stores, where right now state fair pricing on all Weber grills brings you Garage Logic podcast number 670, August 10th, 2021. 101 degrees was the high on this day, and that happened in 1947. Man, they had a hot summer in 1947. And 46 degrees in 1904. Back here at home, the wonderful swimming season continues, and there's still time to clear up your water on your lake beach and get rid of that junk on the bottom using Aqua Clear pellets from the Aquaside Company, a White Bear Lake company. Those pellets, you scatter them out there over a 4-week period. They get rid of the dead leaves, the dead weeds, all the junk that settles to the bottom of the lake, and the next thing you know, you're seeing that rippled sand. It's just absolutely fantastic. Watch me do it. I did it on, it's on Facebook and Twitter feed, the GL stuff. You can get the muck out with Aqua Clear pellets from the Aquaside Company. Call them at 1-800-328-9350. They'll identify your problem and get you just what you need. Or go to aquaside.com.
And now, from the mayor's office, above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Rookie on production, Chris Reavers, Director of Social Media, John Hyde in the newsroom, and occasionally Kenny from the Krabby Coffee Shop. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and Keeper of Common Sense, your Mayor, Joe Souchere.
Yesterday, we had a bit of a kerfuffle on the idea that something cannot be surrounded on three sides.
I'm glad you're bringing this back up.
Charles writes, Joe, you are surrounded on three sides by dummies. Rookie, Kenny, and Reavers. All right. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Actually, I have this from Pastor Lane. Mm-hmm. He said, Reeves, tell Joe that a triangle is surrounded by three sides.
Oh, burn.
Yeah.
Toxic.
B is in B.
Fried.
Get out of here. I remain entirely fascinated with what's happening in Minneapolis, or what will happen at the polling place in November. You have a group of activists who want to rid the city of a police department and reimagine it as a public safety department. So the voters are going to be asked in November, do you want to get rid of the police department or should we keep the police? And the group that wants to get rid of the police is suing to prevent explanatory language from appearing on the ballot, which was, I can't believe they find that illegal. There's another big piece on it today. And the judge apparently is going to make up her mind by August 20. In a 40-minute virtual hearing, Terrence Moore, an attorney for Yes for Minneapolis, argued that the city doesn't have the authority to add an explanation of the proposal to the November ballot, and that some of the wording city officials chose was misleading. Sarah McLaren, an attorney for the city, pushed back, saying there is no daylight between the wording that city officials plan to put on the ballot and the public safety proposal written by the Yes for Minneapolis. Hennepin County Judge Jamie Anderson provided little insight into which way she might be leaning on the case that is drawing national attention. The future of the department is at stake. It's at stake. Depending on when she rules, Anderson's decision in the case could have implications for other initiatives set to appear on the ballot, proposals that would change the power dynamics in City Hall and clear the way for Minneapolis to enact rent control measures. The city has 10 days to submit language to the county for printing on the ballot, and early voting kicks off September 17th. I know you're going to be anxious to get an order, Anderson said, noting the looming Aug 20 deadline. I will try my best, but I can't give you a date by which I will get the order out. All right. Earlier this year, Yes for Minneapolis, funded in large part by a George Soros group, circulated petitions gathering signatures to place a policing and public safety proposal before voters this fall. Then the mayor and city council were to determine the wording that will appear on the ballot. They are required to present the question in an accurate and neutral way and often consult with city attorneys in the clerk's office. The proposal written by Yes for Minneapolis would remove language in the city charter that requires Minneapolis to keep a police department. The city then would be required to create an agency responsible for integrating public safety functions into a comprehensive public health approach to safety. And basically, we really don't know what that means, do we? We don't know what that means. Mm-mm. The new agency could have police if necessary. to fill the responsibilities of the department. How can any sane human being, regardless of your race or gender, look at the crime problem in Minneapolis and believe you don't need a police department? How could that possibly happen? The proposal would strike language from the charter that gives the mayor complete power over police operations, a move that likely would grant council members more sway over officers. Do you want the police department in the hands of this incompetent group of salon dwellers?
No.
Are you kidding me? The mayor and council would decide how to design the new department and whether and how to employ police. City officials wrote a ballot question asking voters if they want to amend the charter to strike and replace the police department with a Department of Public Safety that employs a comprehensive public health approach and which would include licensed peace officers if necessary to fulfill its responsibilities for public safety. For the first time in city memory, officials also included an explanatory note providing more detail, which is what they should do on behalf of the citizens. Mm-hmm. On Monday, Moore, the attorney for Yes for Minneapolis, asked the judge to strike the explanatory note but leave the rest of the question intact. Basically, what they're saying is we can't have voters understand what this is. They'll vote no if they really understood what we're up to.
Well, you get what this is about.
Yeah, it's the mystery.
Well, but look who's funding this.
Yeah.
That's all he wants is mayhem in this country.
For what reason, though? We still haven't determined that.
We've gone down this road. We discussed the fact that he's made his money off futures trading, correct? Mm-hmm. Well, he's dead set on nothing but destruction.
Yeah, but he's
happening.
140. What?
That's probably another part of it. What does he care?
Why doesn't he just
He's
go
going to go.
away?
What's your line? He's going to go face first in the mashed potatoes.
He's going
any
right
minute
into
now.
the gravy
Right.
one of these days.
Dead set on destruction. Husker Du. Great song.
Explanatory notes run alongside the ballot questions and list further details of the proposal. But Yes for Minneapolis argues the city doesn't have the power to add those, and some of the proposed language is misleading. No, it's not. The city's argument, Minneapolis has the power to add explanatory notes and must provide sufficient information at the polls. What the city has proposed mirrors the wording in the petitions Yes for Minneapolis circulated. And then I went through the rest of that yesterday. So it's now in the hands of a judge. And the judge is either going to allow the inclusion of the explanatory notes on the ballot question or not allow the notes on the ballot. So you're going to the polls, Minneapolitans, to basically vote on maybe one of the most important questions in the city's history.
Or you're
Everything-
Go ahead.
Everything relies on the judge, and we know how much we can trust the judges.
I don't know a thing about the judge, but Minneapolis, you are facing the most important question. I'm going to just say it right out. That is the most important question you will face in your lifetime of voting. Are you going to keep a police department or are you not? I have a really interesting note here.
Did you happen to see the Reverend Tim Christopher's live stream last night? Oh, my word. He was hot. Woo, he was hot.
He wants to keep a police department, I take it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he does. Of course he does.
Yes, at top volume he does. God bless you, Reverend. You were wonderful last night.
A couple of more points on this from emailers, which are fascinating. Kevin McDonald writes, we all know that our local professional sports teams are not afraid to voice their opinions on recent events the city had encountered in the past 18 months or so, from acknowledging the right of peaceful protest to displaying banners and signs in downtown stadiums and arenas regarding George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. Maybe I missed it, but has anyone heard from the Twins, Vikings, or Timberwolves regarding their opinion on the Yes for Minneapolis proposal? I would think that reimagining and or defunding the Minneapolis police may have an effect not only on game day experience, but also their ability to market and sell tickets. You realize that there is not one bar or restaurant in St. Paul currently running a shuttle to Twins games?
Right.
Not one.
Really?
Nope.
Oh.
None of these
In fact,
establishments.
I know one that used to do it, Joe.
Yeah.
And they stopped because of this.
They don't want to deal with crime.
Right.
One bar owner told Kevin, the writer, that he didn't want to get shuttle jacked. Shuttle jacked.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing?
Could be if you ran the shuttles down there.
Regarding the sports teams, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I did hear Dave St. Peter on the pregame show with Corey Provis on Sunday, and he did on 2 or 3 occasions cite the thanks to Hennepin County, the MPD, for the safety around Target Field.
Well,
whether that answers his question.
Well, let's take
not.
Kevin's email a step farther. Well, the Wilfs and the Polads and now Alex Rodriguez should be conducting a public campaign of their own to remind voters of the consequences of what might happen if they vote to defund and or reimagine the police department.
But you know why they won't do that?
Because they think that would violate their wokeism.
And it would alienate 50% of people that might buy a ticket.
Most of the people who buy a ticket would be people who are going to vote no.
I would believe that.
But their very fan base is threatened by that ballot question.
Mm-hmm.
Minneapolis is in a spiral, a death spiral. It's in a free-for-all, in a rush to the bottom.
Free fall.
Free fall.
What are you thinking, John?
I'm wondering if it's a true statement that most of those fans would vote no.
That's what I was thinking. Doesn't baseball bring both sides together?
I think if that's true, then it's going to be defeated soundly, because I think baseball does have a large, like Kenny said, group of people. Look at musicians and hippies who love baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know,
And my gun-toting friends love it.
Yeah.
Okay, but
my guitar-toting friends love it.
I guess what I'm suggesting is that if you are a frequent attendee at a baseball game or basketball game or football game, A, you have some money, and B, it's a kind of an acknowledgement that you are an engaged citizen taking advantage of these opportunities in your community.
Yeah.
Let me. This will go back to a show we did a couple weeks ago. Remember you, the fellow who wrote the letter to the newspaper,
The Charlie guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did some background on him.
So did Kelsey. He did a deep dive on him. But go ahead.
You would have assumed he was, from the other side, shall we say? But he led the Romney for president group in Minneapolis. He's a money guy in downtown Minneapolis. That was his job.
Yeah.
And remember, he was still for defunding the police.
Yeah. Well, he's a moron.
And
I don't doubt that, but
didn't he reside in Southwest?
I don't know where he
I don't
lives.
remember. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I seem to remember Southwest.
Here's John's email. I thought of something last night that might interest you in the dum-dums. Yesterday, you talked a lot about the yes for Minneapolis fruitcakes and then still wanting to abolish the police department and the chief to have the city patrolled by caring, sensitive social workers and the like. Here is something I think we should try and show these mentally ill city council people what will happen if they get what they wish for. No, it's yes for Minneapolis needs to be shown what they wish for. With the fair coming up in a couple of weeks, let's remove all police from the fair and allow yes for Minneapolis and the city council to staff the fairgrounds as well as the surrounding areas for the entire run of the fair with just the people they propose to protect the city. This, I feel, would show them just what will happen if the police are not there and how important it is to have a strong police presence. Surely it would be a dreadful fair, but may shed some light onto just how stupid this idea is. My guess is that if it did happen, most people would choose to sit out the fair. I'm sure Krabby Kenny would love that idea and run with it. Thanks, John. I don't want to go to the fair under that experiment.
Nope.
In fact, I will not.
No.
But it would be a hell of an experiment, wouldn't it?
Well, how about they do that between the hours of 7 p.m. and close?
Yeah.
I
That's
think
where
we
most of
agreed
your
that
problems are anyway.
We agreed that the fair would not go off without security.
Well, I can
mean, they
guarantee
can't do
you,
it.
I wouldn't have been there.
No, they can't do it.
So
They
a
can't
hell of
do
an
it.
experiment if you're willing to go and get conked over the head, I guess.
Nope.
No one is.
I still think my idea was the best idea. Make every day law enforcement day at the state fair.
So you mentioned musicians. I'm getting a note now that G.B. Layton is playing Giants Ridge this Saturday.
Oh, cool.
August 14th. Is that this Saturday? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Today's the 10th. Yes. So G.B. Layton up at Giants Ridge.
You mean
Saturday.
Garage Logic fan?
Yeah. Rock the Ridge with G.B. Layton. That's at Giants Ridge, home to the Legend and the Quarry, two of the greatest values in Minnesota golf, greatest public courses around. 37-hole special. Play the Legend and the Quarry on the same day with lunch on them for one incredible rate, $160 plus tax on weekdays and $175 plus tax on weekends. And it's much more than golf. It's much more than golf. It's a return to quietude. It's a return to nature and water recreation, biking and hiking, and the newest and largest lift-served mountain bike park in the Midwest. I take it that means you must go hell for bent down a hill on your bike, then you get a ride back to the top.
That's cool.
Yeah, I guess that's what that must mean, huh? Dining, lodging, and much more. View 3D course flyovers of the Legend and the Quarry at giantsridge.com or call them for your tee time at 218-865-8030.
Hey, GLers, it's Reavers here with a couple of questions for you. Are you noticing a decrease in the following? Maybe strength, endurance, enjoyment of life, libido, or maybe it's just a lack of energy? Are you tired of feeling exhausted even after you eat dinner? I've got an answer for you. You need to call my friends at Everest Men's Health. From signs of low testosterone to other deficiencies, they examine every single area important to a man's overall health, and that allows them to develop an easy-to-follow plan that will ensure your success. It does not matter where you fall on the spectrum of men's health. The time is right now to come into Everest Men's Health and take the first steps toward realizing your best health possible. The great thing about Everest is their medical specialists look at the entire picture and they figure out what is causing these changes to you. They start with a full medical evaluation to check testosterone levels, important vitamin levels, blood levels, and overall body composition. And once they identify the deficiencies, such as low T or vitamin deficiencies, they create a personalized lifestyle program that can include testosterone replacement, medication management, vitamin and natural supplementation, and exercise prescription and nutritional guidance. Trust me, Everest is fantastic, and they provide a comfortable environment that is not intimidating like other medical clinics. They specialize in men's health, and they can be your doctor for all your health needs, and they will refer you to a specialist if needed. It's a wonderful environment and fantastic people. Go online right now to everestmenshealth.com, and you can call today to schedule your $50 testosterone test at any one of their 3 locations in Woodbury, Plymouth, and now in Eagan. And please let them know that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Get a pen and paper out because I'm going to drop some knowledge on you that you haven't heard before. Number 1, don't talk to strangers. Number 2, lock your doors. Number 3, have situational awareness. How's that for info, GLers? And number 4, just log on to dkmags.com for all your home and self-defense items. Better yet, stop in for a visit. DK Mags are on Old 8 in New Brighton, or even Monticello Pawn and Gun. A couple of wonderful shops that GLers love. Best little gun shop in town in Monticello Pawn and Gun. Well, they offer everything in the way of firearms and accessories, but they also have so much more. Grab a TV, power tool, or a shotgun. And I bought a couple of cool pocket knives there. If you're a hunter or a sports shooter, or if you need anything for home or self-defense, DK Mags and Monticello Pawn and Gun, the best source of everything you need with competitive prices and sound advice. I'm talking friendly, knowledgeable service here. No snobbery at dkmags.com. 5% off firearms and accessories if you're a law enforcement officer or first responder or veteran. dkmags.com in New Brighton or Monticello Pawn and Gun. A couple of wonderful shops for GLers, run by GLers.
Lately, we've seen more and more of life imitating art. Most recently, what happened in Colorado yesterday, I'll explain in a moment. Cuomo has resigned as governor of New York. That surprises everybody, I think. And in his resignation remarks today, he gave another speech that was the equivalent of Otter in Animal House, which we don't need to play. But he was completely off topic. He just was boasting about how great his run as governor has been.
Speaking of, I have 90 seconds of him doing that very thing.
Go ahead.
If you'd like.
Here he is today. Yeah, the Otter speech.
And it is unfortunate. Now, you know me. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred. I am a fighter. And my instinct is to fight through this controversy because I truly believe it is politically motivated. I believe it is unfair and it is untruthful. And I believe it demonizes behavior that is unsustainable for society. If I could communicate the facts through the frenzy, New Yorkers would understand. I believe that. But when I took my oath as governor, then it changed. I became a fighter, but I became a fighter for you. And it is your best interest that I must serve. This situation, by its current trajectory, will generate months of political and legal controversy. That is what is going to happen. That is how the political wind is blowing. It will consume government. It will cost taxpayers millions of dollars. It will brutalize people. The State Assembly yesterday outlined weeks of process that will then lead to months of litigation. Time and money that government should spend managing COVID, guarding.
All right. All right.
Wow. You know what I was waiting for, Such? Like at the Oscars, I was waiting for the music to come up and drown out.
Your time's over, Cuomo.
So then yesterday, with Cuomo, we were having fun comparing it to the speech Otter gave to the dean of Faber College
But he
in Animal
basically
House.
said, I'm doing you a favor.
Right.
What?
I'm not going to stand by and let you badmouth the United States of America. Right. So now yesterday, we discovered this supposed controversy at a Colorado Rockies game on Sunday when a fellow was alleged to have shouted out the N-word, only to discover that he absolutely did not do that. He was yelling for their mascot, improbably enough named Dinger, and they'll have to change that name. What I don't understand about that situation is why the Rockies, for example, are still clinging to the idea that they needed to prevent such a thing. Well, then what'd you name the mascot for? Why is it called Dinger? So remember about a month ago, maybe it was longer, we played the club pro guy, the guy who imagines himself to be a pro at a golf club. He's hilarious. And the same he was ahead of this curve. He does a bit on exactly what happened Sunday in Colorado.
Thanks for coming in. I just wish it was under better circumstances. As you guys know, yesterday's unseasonably warm weather allowed for some member play, which was good for the club. What wasn't good, however, was the alleged homophobic slur Stan Perry made on the 8th green while playing alongside Frank and Kathy Spunt. Let me just say right at the outset that the recent incident on the PGA Tour involving Justin Thomas has made our club hyper-vigilant. And because of that, we've instituted a new zero-tolerance policy when it comes to allowing free speech. So Stan's little slip-up yesterday will be dealt with swiftly and severely. Questions? Well, the story I heard was that Stan was on the front of the green on 8, looking at about a 60-foot par putt to a back right hole location.
60-foot par putt.
Kathy Spunt was just off the back of the green by herself because Frank was in his pocket and had already headed over to the 9th tee. Apparently, Stan mishit his putt because he left it about 20 feet short. And according to Stan, in frustration, he said, "Way to lag it." But Kathy momentarily thought that instead of lag it, she might have heard a slur that rhymes with lag it. So based on Kathy's muddled recollection that she's since recanted, we've gone ahead and suspended Stan effective immediately for saying a word that rhymes with a word that is offensive to a marginalized community. And we're weighing a wide range of punishment options.
Oh, God, just perfect. It's just perfect.
Context.
That's enough.
and
That's
intent.
enough. It's just exactly what happened in Colorado.
But the next line, he said context and intent. I don't think any of that should matter.
Right. Oh, we're laughing at our own doom. Oh, we're laughing at our
hilarious?
We're laughing at our own demise. Oh my word! Have they changed the name of the mascot yet? Because that damn well they're going to.
I thought I saw something about that. I will look right now, as a matter of fact.
We talked yesterday about the police officer who lost her life in Chicago and the mayor's reaction. The mayor took the opportunity to turn her reaction into another anti-gun sentiment. The officer who lost her life was Ella French, 29. 2 brothers have been arrested now. Ella died and her partner was critically injured, seriously wounded during a traffic stop. And so yesterday, the a group of Chicago police officers went to the hospital where Ella French's partner was. And the mayor also came to the hospital. And uniformly, every cop turned around and turned their back to her. It was quite a significant gesture on their part. And she said, yeah, times are tough. I mean, she took it well. She said, these are heated times, and I can understand that reaction. Okay. But they did turn their back on her. And that's the last thing Chicago needs is a dust-up between the mayor and the police. They need police in that town at least as much as we do, if not more. And now there's just bad blood between the mayor's office and the coppers because coppers know damn well why there's so much trouble in Chicago, and she doesn't. She thinks it's the gun's fault. It's the gang's fault. It's the criminal's fault.
Well, she's just another person that's clearly unfit for office.
I believe so. I have found a new person, though, who is the most unfit for office.
Oh, boy.
I think we'll ever find in our lifetime.
Okay. That's a doozy.
It's
That's
a
a whopper.
It's a big statement.
I'm not going to tell you yet about her.
What's a her?
But did you see now where the reward for information on the shootings of 3 young children in Minneapolis this spring is now at $180,000?
Yeah.
If that doesn't pry something loose, then what would?
Well, and not to mention...
I think these shooters are long gone out of town.
Oh, really?
That's what I think. How could 180 not turn over a rock someplace?
Well, and didn't they make it where even the leads, they'll find a way to not have the phone number recognized?
Oh, no, your anonymity will be protected.
Right.
And they don't have a lead yet with $180,000 on the table? And they'll protect your anonymity. 59 people killed in Minneapolis so far.
We had one yesterday at 11:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The reward is offered by Spotlight on Crime and Crime Stoppers. It coincides with a billboard campaign seeking information leading to an arrest and conviction in the 3 shootings, which have come to symbolize the indiscriminate gun violence plaguing the parts of the city. Tipsters can remain anonymous. And the 3 children, 2 of whom are dead, are 10-year-old Latavion Garrett Jr., who he's critically injured but alive. And then there's Ayanna and, oh, help me, who's the other little girl? One was bouncing on a trampoline. One was at McDonald's. One was riding in the car. And there's $180,000 on the table. You know what Reverend Tim would say about this.
Oh, I know what he would say because he said it last night at Top Volume, and he was PO'd. This is a gang war going on, is what we have here. This is a straight-up gang war, and these people do not care one damn bit who is in the line of fire or behind the line of fire. And the only thing that's going to stop him, the gang war from stopping, and this was, I thought was really interesting, is when their weekend drug business is affected, when people stop coming to those neighborhoods to buy the crack, the cocaine, the weed, whatever it is that they're picking up in that neighborhood. Once business is affected, they're going to slow down and stop, and they're going to call a ceasefire, and then, like Reverend said last night, and it's going to last for a while, but then they're going to go back to killing each other. Mm-hmm. And you can tell, and I looked at this article over 3 times, Such, not once is gang warfare mentioned. They talk about the gunfire remaining concentrated in the 3rd and 4th precincts in southeast and north Minneapolis. They mention a few blocks. They mention disenfranchised. They mention this and that, but they do not mention gang warfare, which is what this is. They talk about rising gun sales, blah, 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 blah. They don't talk about what's really happening.
It's the Wild West.
It is.
They're running across playgrounds, shooting each other where kids are ducking for cover.
Yep.
It's wide open gang warfare.
Yep.
Remember that when you go to the polls, Minneapolis. You better vote to retain a police department.
To the point where 911 calls are going unanswered and unresponded to.
Yep, yep. You've got two things going on in the Twin Cities right now. It's the out-and-out crime. It's the people taking advantage of the fact that there's not enough police on the streets. They're doing the crimes, the carjackings, the stealing the phones, the purses, the money, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the gang warfare, and it's a straight-up war. It's like we've seen in the movies when they go to the mattresses. It's just people killing each other.
And when certain individuals are apprehended and arrested, the judges are putting them right back on the street.
Yep.
When Rudy Giuliani was sane and the mayor of New York, he had the broken window policy, remember? And it cleaned up the town in about a year or two, meaning you don't ignore the small stuff. We keep drifting farther and farther away from that with the current political leadership in both cities. You're drifting farther and farther away from even intending to arrest somebody for breaking a window.
I was reading a story, was it last week? There was a teenager that was killed in one of those, Kenny, what do we call those when they're doing burnouts in the middle of intersections at 3 o'clock in the morning in Minneapolis?
Street racing.
But he was
Essies?
Yeah, well, he was killed, and he lives in the suburbs, and the mom is contacting MPD going, well, where's this investigation at? And they don't even have somebody assigned to the case.
I just had a wonderful tirade, but I was wrong. There are 3 paragraphs in the Star Tribune about the gangs, the high-end and low-end factions, and they mention a couple of gang rivalries. So the piece I read earlier didn't mention it. The piece I'm looking at now does. Yeah, great.
Anaya Allen and Trinity Smith were the 2 girls who are no longer alive. Let me tell you something. Red Savoy Pizza's back with us, and just in time for college football season because they've joined forces with the Golden Gophers as a sponsor, and they've been doing some commercials with PJ Fleck that you can view on the Red Savoy Facebook site. Gophers open September 2nd, or if not open, have an important game September 2nd against Ohio State. And what's better than sit back with a nice big Red Savoy Pizza? GLers, you can get your hands on some delicious Red Savoy soda-style pizza just in time for this football season. Visit SavoyPizza.com and use the code word ELITE, E-L-I-T-E, a word that PJ Fleck likes.
He really likes that word.
That's one word, ELITE, and you'll get $5 off any order of $30 or more. The offer is available only through the Red Savoy app or website. Rook had a Red Savoy in here yesterday, and it was absolutely scrumptious.
Yeah, the double sausage.
It was
very
scrumptious.
Good. Yes, it was.
He tells him, you know what he tells him? You're doing it right. Mm-hmm. Red Savoy Soda, S-O-T-A, Minnesota-style pizza.
Hey, GLers, if you're looking to improve the water quality in your home, then trust my friends at Hofferman Water. They are your local independent water treatment dealer, and they have been serving Minnesotans for nearly 50 years, and they understand the unique problems that Minnesota water brings. They are also an independent and authorized Connecticut dealer, so whether you're looking to soften, filter, or you just want your water to taste better, they will help make your water worry-free. I'm a prime example. I went with the Connecticut system a couple of years ago. I have the S650 system inside my home. It made an absolute world of difference. It improved everything. Your dishes, your laundry, your showers, everything inside your home gets better with Connecticut and my friends at Hofferman Water. If you already have a water treatment system in your home, well, they can help you with service and repairs. They specialize in Connecticut products, but service many other major brands too. They can also help with salt delivery, filter changes, parts, repairs, and more. Give them a shout today. You can call them at 612-895-2440 for a free water analysis and estimate, or just check them out online at HoffermanWater.com, and please let them know that Garage Logic sent you.
Latte schmate. Here's Joe Souchere.
Yeah, before that, we've got a pretty long checklist we're going to have to work through here. It's our coffeegrounds.com checklist. Coffee beans, check. GL blended beans, yes, check. Fine Wisconsin aged cheddar, yes. Wine, spirits, beer, brewed right in their own brewery, check, check, and double check. But no, let's stop this because we're going to be here all day if this continues. Let's get right to the point. Fresh New York strip and ribeye steaks and fresh fish and seafood offerings. The meat of the week at the Coffee Grounds in Eau Claire. It's hand-cut USDA prime ribeyes and New York strips cut about 1.5 inches thick. You can order today for pickup on Friday. And fresh from the sea, Alaskan cod, scallops, shrimp, salmon. Get that order in by tomorrow. You're going to pick it up 2 p.m. after 2 p.m. on Thursday. Do yourself a favor. Get over there. Have a sit-down meal from their home-cooked menu when you pick your meat and seafood up. And then coffee and beer and everything else you need. They're on Southtown Drive, just north of 94 in Eau Claire. And they'll ship those coffee beans anywhere in the world when you order them from thecoffeegrounds.com.
I find this hard to believe. I think it's a national embarrassment. Maybe it'll receive more attention than it has. I read about it in the Oregonian in Portland, and it's an embarrassment and it's a sadness. The Kate Brown, a Democrat, has signed into law Senate Bill 744, which drops any requirement that students demonstrate they can read, write, or do any math to graduate from high school.
Oh, it's just that easy now. Sure.
She dropped the requirements that students demonstrate they have achieved those essential skills by signing Senate Bill 744 into law. She declined again as recently as Friday to comment to the public on this. The bill was not entered into the legislative database until July 29, a departure from the standard practice of updating the public database the same day a bill is signed. Charles Boyle, the governor's deputy communications director, which means there's another communications director, said the governor's staff told legislative staff the same day the governor signed the bill. Boyle said in an email statement that suspending the reading, writing, and math proficiency requirements will benefit Oregon's Black, Latino, Latina, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, tribal, and students of color. No, it does not benefit them. It hurts them. That isn't the soft bigotry of low expectations. That's the bigotry
Straight up, yeah.
of no expectations.
Right. No,
None.
that's straight up racism is what that is.
That is racism.
Yeah, that statement is racism. Yeah, I don't see how you could see it as anything else.
He added, leaders from those communities have advocated time and again for equitable graduation standards, along with expanded learning opportunities and support. Lawmakers did not pass any significant expansion of learning opportunities or support for Black, Indigenous, and students of color during the 2021 legislative session. Democrats in the legislature overwhelmingly supported ending the long-time proficiency requirement, while Republicans criticized it for lowering academic standards. A couple of lawmakers crossed party lines on the votes. I would take that to mean some Democrats might have crossed party lines if they had come to their senses. Proponents said the state needed to pause Oregon's high school graduation requirements since 2009, but suspended during the pandemic until the class of 2024 graduates for leaders to re-examine its graduation requirements. Recommendations for new standards are due by September 2022. Oregon education officials have long insisted they would not impose any new graduation requirements on students who have already begun high school. New requirements would not take effect until the class of 2027. That means at least 5 more classes could graduate without demonstrating proficiency in reading, writing, and arithmetic.
It's alarming.
Much of the criticism of the graduation requirements was targeted at standardized tests. Oregon, unlike many other states, did not require students to pass a particular standardized test or any test at all. You are mentally ill. You are mentally ill if you think you are doing a favor to Black, Latino, Latina, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, tribal, or students of color by saying to them, go ahead and graduate. I don't want to see any proof that you can read, write, or add 2 + 2.
You are less than.
You are less than. You are, the left is doing those marginalized communities no favors. They are hurting the children.
No, they're keeping them down. They're keeping people in the ghetto. They're keeping them poor. They've got no shot at what they call equity or equality by doing this.
And Charles Boyle, this deputy communications director for the governor, he said leaders from these communities have advocated for this, for equitable graduation standards. So
that's not.
Well, the leaders of those communities, then, if that's true, you're just as culpable as the Democratic lawmakers and the Democratic governor. You're just as culpable.
Yes. Yep.
If you're a Pacific Islander advocating that Pacific Islander children shouldn't be proficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic, but still be able to graduate, all you're doing is ruining that kid's life. You're just setting that kid's life back. It's just it's a real sadness and an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to this country.
I'm on Governor Kate Brown's Twitter account. Mm-hmm. It's frightening how many people are She's getting some pushback, don't get me wrong, but it's frightening how many people are celebrating this.
What's to celebrate?
Well, Joe, we're helping out with diversity. We're moving forward. This is progress.
No, you're not. You're telling those kids they're dummies and they'll never be able to read, write, or do math. So, but we're going to look the other way, and you're right. That's unfair to you if you can't graduate. So you'll graduate with a meaningless degree or whatever you get in high school, a certificate or a diploma.
And her Twitter account just it checks all the boxes on the liberal wish list.
I'm sure.
Oh man,
this is criminal. This is criminal. How can black parents put up with this?
I have to say it. I have to get it off my chest. Yesterday, I brought up the fact that I've been watching and listening to interviews with former slaves that were taken in the 30s and 40s. One of the slaves they talked to was Jefferson Davis's, one of his slaves. Mm-hmm. If you don't know Jefferson, and I know you know Joe, but he was the president of the Confederacy who hired teachers and put all of his slaves into education and made sure they were educated. Do we have to say right now that the president of the Confederacy that owned human beings did more for their education than the state of California is doing?
Oregon.
Is that
Oregon?
Oregon, I'm sorry.
I think that's a fair statement. That is a fair statement.
Wow.
Yep. That's a fair statement.
Oh, I have to pick myself up off the floor. I think
stunned. You should. I think you should.
Wow.
In her bio, by the way, it says Governor Kate Brown, Oregon's 38th governor, always fighting for better jobs and schools.
Well, that's a lie.
Fierce feminist working to strengthen and expand voter access.
Your state's falling apart, lady. Portland's in worse shape than Minneapolis, and that's saying something. This is an embarrassment to human nature. This is an embarrassment to human dignity.
Yes, to humanity.
It's an embarrassment to the soul of a human being. You can't read, write, or add? Subtract? Get your diploma. Go ahead. That way it looks like we're all equitable.
You go out there and get that minimum wage job. And
how can you, Kenny, how can you even get a minimum wage job if you can't read or write?
Well, I suppose they're just going to be on the government dole for the rest of their lives.
Well, Joe,
maybe that's what they want.
People are pretty much going to take anybody they can right now. You can't drive by a building without a help wanted sign.
It's an amazing problem. We're going to change topics briefly.
Wait. This is how they keep people dependent on the government. Mm-hmm. This is the key right here.
I was at the doc today, and routine visit, and I told him, you know how I got this appointment? He said, how? I said, I drove over here one day, walked in and made the appointment in person because I've called twice, and I'm not going to sit on hold for 20 minutes. He said, we can't hire people.
Wow.
Oh. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. It's too bad.
Kate Brown, lady, you're not going to heaven. You're not going to heaven. You've allowed yourself to be
Her Twitter account
co-opted.
is a hoot, man.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, she issued the following. Thanks to the work of my Wildfire Council, legislators and stakeholders, I signed SB 762 into law. This $220 million investment in fire preparedness will create fire-adapted communities, increase the resiliency of Oregon's landscapes, and develop effective firefighting responses. She's doing the work of the people, Joe. What was that one? A twin?
This is just...
You either have to laugh or sob. I mean, this is really sad. This is pathetic.
Charles Boyle, the governor's deputy communications director,
Thank you.
said that suspending the reading, writing, and math proficiency requirements will benefit Oregon's Black, Latino, Latina, Latinx. All those are made-up words, by the way. I'm not even sure a Latino wants to be referred to as a Latinx or a Latina. I don't even know what the hell that means. Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, tribal, and students of color. And they had the gall. He has the gall to use the word benefit. No, it will harm these kids. It will harm them.
How can that statement just on its own not be taken as racist?
To me, it is, John. It is.
Me too. It slaps you in the face, to me anyway.
And
as
it
racist.
took Kenny to come up with it, but it's brilliant. The president of the Confederacy, who owned slaves, did more for black children than the governor of Oregon.
Why even make attendance mandatory? Why even ask them to go to school? What's the point?
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, the state could just keep a database of births, and when you reach 17, they'll mail you a diploma.
Is this in their way to prevent people from dropping out?
No, this is a direct appeal to people who have consumed the Kool-Aid. That you're right. It's unfair that you don't get to graduate because you were so deficient in your reading and writing skills. We're going to erase that so you also can graduate. That's what this is. Okay. It's making you less than. It's virtually making you non-existent.
What about the crackers? Do they still have to get A, B's, and C's?
I have no idea. It's you know what though? It's a great question because the standards are so lowered. I don't know what would be expected of. If you're going to do that, what would be expected of any student? And that even creates a more interesting question. Why should you segregate students into groups that you expect achievement from and those you don't expect achievement from? You are the most disingenuous bunch of fools I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah. Sets the country back 200 years.
This is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
And they knew there was a problem because, I don't know if you read this part, but she signed it on July 14th, but they made no announcement.
Right.
Just kind of slid it through and, not through the normal ways they always announce bills. None of that.
Say Spencer Grunhofer is aware of the beef prices rising, and he has a way you can get around that by purchasing a side or a quarter of beef. You can't beat that quality because that's local farm-raised beef. Mm-hmm. And you're going to beat the man at Lund's or Byerly's or Cub or wherever because meat prices are going through the roof. But, Spencer's been a professional meat guy his whole life. He knows what he's doing. And that is going to save you and your family some money. You need a freezer, right? You got to have a freezer.
Yep.
Put that side of beef in there. That's a half a cow, isn't it?
A freezer or a
But they don't have the
gathering.
feet on it, do they?
No.
It's just not like it's not like one of those models of a car where they cut it in half and all right. So it's just the meat part.
Right.
Okay, it's not okay, I get it now.
Are there feet on it?
That's Grunhofer's Old-Fashioned Meats on Highway 61 at the north end of Hugo. And congratulations on the opening of the new Grunhofer's Old-Fashioned Meats in Forest Lake on Highway 97. GLers know the drill. GLers have made this their go-to place for all of their meat needs, cooking needs, grilling needs, and they'll help you behind the counter. You got a recipe question? They're there to help you. Mm-hmm. It's Grunhofer's Old-Fashioned Meats.
Hey, GLers, it's Reavers here once again for Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. And as you've been hearing over the course of the last couple of months, Josh asks you one simple question, and that's always, do you know what you own? You see, Josh's clients, they always know what they own, and Josh has found that most people that he meets with every single day, well, they don't. They absolutely have no idea. Josh has also seen retirement portfolios that have a big percentage in bonds, and there are real instances of people paying more in commissions and fees than they can possibly make on the rate of return that those bonds currently yield. So Josh begs of you, know what you own. And you'll hear from Mr. Money Talk later today here in Garage Logic to give you a specialized report on the goings-on in the market today. Trust is often overused, and it's even harder to find. Please, you can take it from me that you can trust Josh. So give him a call today for that free 48-minute financial consultation, and you do so by calling 952-925-5608. Once again, that's 952-925-5608 for Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Nope. But this is good.
This is great, but it's not the new record.
Do we have the new one?
Oh, crap. I'm sorry,
This
Dylan.
one, this should have been in Jackie Brown. Can you
Yeah,
hear this
yeah,
this
yeah,
song
yes,
in the
yeah,
movie
definitely.
Jackie Brown?
Well, remember, this is not, that's a demo. It's not the finished product.
Right.
They're still working on the finished version.
So good.
Do we have the new one?
Yeah, I'll play it next break.
All right, here's Johnny Height.
Sorry.
Thank you, Joe. Oh, goodness. Now, of course, I'm not ready because I was listening to music. Here we go.
Because you were too busy chastising me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. I feel bad.
It's all right.
I feel bad. A man who was accused of getting in a drunken driving crash last month in Orono that killed 2 passengers has now been charged with 4 counts of criminal vehicular homicide. According to the complaint, 51-year-old James David Blue of Orono is charged with 2 counts each of criminal vehicular homicide with an alcohol concentration of 0.08 or more and criminal vehicular